You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Welcome back to the Nerds Podcast, and as I have a new background and now I have kind of a studio here, this is something new. We're also doing a new series, and welcome to Derry as well. It's going to be our new series. If you are liking our show, if you like fandom, if you like being a nerd and nerding out, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell so you can get our latest videos at a consistent pace. Now, with that said, I do have to make an announcement. We had stated before that Enchanted Izzy was going to be on the show. I also didn't know how hardcore and rated R this was going to be. So, to make sure that Enchanted Izzy and her fairies don't coincide with this particular show, we will not be having Enchanted Izzy on this particular series. We will be more than welcome her back on another series that makes more sense to her genre. I hope you guys understand that. But with that said, welcome to Derry. Pete, this was amazing. They came off right off the bat. Now, of course, I want to state these things. This opens up Stephen King's universe. And of course, this is taking place 27 years before the It movie, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Pete, just straight up, was this what you were expecting? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Can you wait to the next episode?
Not what I was expecting. I'm within the first 10 minutes. It went left very quickly, you know. But they're building up. So I did like the first episode, and they're showing. I guess it's because of Halloween. They're not. The second episode is not on Sunday. It's on Friday, which is Halloween, which is cool because we don't have to wait too long to see the second episode. But nah, man, this is definitely a good watch. I know it's not chapter 3, but it seems like it's another chapter into the story of Pennywise of Derry. So great episode 1. Way to kick it off, man.
Yeah, no, this was above and beyond, glued to the TV and ready to rock this out. And listen, we're going to cover this alien entity, of course, over the next 8 episodes. Well, with an early release, like you said, on Halloween, which is on Friday. They wanted to put it out there for Halloween, so there won't be an episode on next week's Sunday. And this episode cleverly titled The Pilot, which of course has 2 different meanings on the show, which the 2 meanings that a first episode to a new series is usually called a pilot series. Love it. But no, it's also an introduction to Mike's grandfather from the Losers Club, Leroy Hanlon. Did you know that, Pete?
No, I did not. I was wondering if going back in time or going back to the beginning of the lore of the story, if they were going to have any, descent, relatives, but yeah, you just explained that was his grandfather.
Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs here. I tried to catch as many as I could. I have been reading the footnotes to it to really get into this series, so might get into some of Stephen King stuff as well. But we open up with The Music Man, 1962 musical, and we get introduced to Maddie in the movie theater. Now, Pete, I've actually seen this movie, The Music Man. Have you?
No.
Yeah, it's great that they actually brought this one in because The Music Man is about a guy who's kind of a swindler, who is not what he seems to be. He is not the music man. He has no music, but he convinces the people that he is, and he wants to start with the kids, teaching them how to play music. But a great kind of play on what Pennywise is, of course. Now, Maddie is sucking on a pacifier, which is usually that a kid is, at that age, has a little bit of trauma if he's sucking on a pacifier. For the most part. But he also had a black eye, and while he was in the theater, again, I gotta ask this question. Have you ever snuck into a movie theater without paying?
Well, yes and no. Well, paid for one movie, but snuck into another movie theater while I was in the actual theater. So that's a yes and no for me. So paid to see one movie.
Right. Same thing. Jumped into the other.
Yeah.
Of course. I love it. And as Maddie gets kicked out of the movie theater, we see Ronnie for the first time, of course. She covers his back so that he could bounce, of course. Now, right after that, he is walking home. Again, we get into this stuff, and all this stuff happens with bad parenting for the most part because there's no parents around.
Definitely.
But the first sequence in the car, getting picked up, wow! Like, talk about a punch in the face from the beginning. Give me a breakdown of what you thought when it came to this opening scene.
Well, when he gets into a car, he's hitchhiking, he gets into a car with a family, and I would say maybe 5 to 10 minutes after he's in the car, he realizes he's in a car full of weirdos. They are as odd as they come. He's probably wishing that first car that passed by would have stopped and picked him up instead of this one. He's in the back seat with the sister and the brother. The sister pulls out a container of liver, starts dipping her fingers in it. The brother is spelling everything. Every word that his mother is saying, he's spelling it out. She's like, oh yeah, he loves to spell. He's such a good speller. And then they start throwing out these words, and he's kind of reading the room like, okay, I need to get the hell out of here. Very creepy scene, and you're kind of, you're worried for him at that time. But then, it really takes off after that. Super weird, but again, we're not watching Paw Patrol here. We're watching it. We're watching Pennywise, So I fully expected this. This is 100% horror as it can get, man. But yeah,
the kid's spelling was crazy to me too, man.
Yeah, I was just like, yo, what the hell is going on in here? The liver.
And did you notice he was breaking things down like let's say it was bullies, he would pay BUL, then he would LIES, lies. Like, again, just foretelling that all of this is not real in that sense of the nature. Did you notice the Paul Bunyan sign? That basically it's the same thing that attacked Richie later on, and I think it was in chapter 1.
The welcome to Derry sign.
On the billboard. Yeah, on the billboard. Now, real quickly, I also noticed there was a W on that thing, and it basically, I looked into it, the Legion of White Decency. So we kind of know what this is going to go with. 1962, racial tension throughout the show will show itself, of course. Now, the kid also has eyes crossed, which reminded me of Pennywise underneath the bleacher with that little girl. And if you want to see our Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 content, please look back at that video. We actually covered Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Now, we have to remind ourselves that Pennywise can change his form, and the mutated baby, the way it came out and the way it was just bouncing around in the car, like, talk about adjusting your fear and everything else. That was just crazy to see. And I know they kind of foretold this because they were playing it on the radio. It is the kind of Cold War, and they're talking about the nukes and mutated babies, things of that nature, which is probably Maddie's fear, and that's why it shows itself. But unfortunately, Pennywise wins in this one. And just to say this, guys, he doesn't get the clown form until the next year. So he's just playing himself same way he did with some of the other Losers Club. He's changing his form to whatever the fear is. He hasn't really gotten to the clown form yet, but hopefully we'll get to that by mid-season and things of that nature. Now, the pilot, we get the pilot that comes in, of course. This is now Leroy Hanlon. This is the grandfather to Mike. We also get his counterpart, Russo, who says there's probably not a good Chinese restaurant, which, again, another Easter egg to one of my favorite scenes in Chapter 2, which is the Chinese restaurant when they met later on. So there was a Chinese restaurant. It just took more than 27 years to get the Chinese restaurant there. And now we get the creepy driver. That I thought this was kind of like Us with the creepy driver. Pete, do you know who that is?
No. Who, the driver in the show?
The driver that was driving Hanlon and Russo.
Yeah, you mean the actor?
It was a black military. Well, the actor is actually Chris Chalk, but it is confirmed. That is Doc from The Shining.
Whoa.
Boom. Yes, Dick Halloran is confirmed to be on this show, and of course, he's gonna probably wind up leaving Derry to go work at the hotel, the Overlook Hotel. That is actually Doc. So he has the shining power. I'm curious how this is gonna play. I just blew your mind. I see it in your face.
I love it.
What do you think now that I put that on you?
No, pause. Stephen King having this vast collection of books that he's written. The fact that he's crossing them over now to me is pretty dope.
Yeah, so forget DCU, MCU. We got Stephen King's cinematic universe happening. Yeah, so and I'm curious how his shine. I'm curious how his shine or whatever it is in the town is going to affect these kids. But okay, so and they're driving past again, and I think Russo asked, "What is that?" And he says that's a special project space, right? So again, we have to think about Stephen King, and I think that the special forces are the same special team that does the Firestarter. Of course, that's Stephen King and Dreamcatcher as well. That stuff may be mixed into all of this as well. So super excited. Again, this all coincides with what Phil on the show, the kid, is talking about aliens and all this other stuff. So now that we got that out the way, we get to the school, right? And they show turtles. Again, another Stephen King thing about the It. Now, Matron, I hope I'm saying this right. Matron is the benevolent cosmic opposite to It. And they have the turtle there. It says duck and cover in a cartoon form. Again, this is teaching kids because this is Cold War. It's nuclear, how to duck and cover and things of that nature. And this is the only time that that we kind of see. Well, sorry, this is the time that now it makes sense with Matron being the opposite to It and a turtle. That Maddie has a turtle and he kind of trades off with Lily on the show when they were on the rooftop, and we kind of find out that that's kind of the reason why he left. What do you think?
What do I think as far as what's his reason for leaving?
Maddie, right? So Maddie got kicked. Maddie went to the movie theater possibly after because it was New Year's.
They said 4 months later.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so 4 months later, he goes in for the kiss, gets denied, and he wants out of Derry. But what do you think about this whole turtle thing? Do you think it makes sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it does.
Perfect. Okay, now let's talk about the hangar scene for Hanlon, right? Again, he gets denied a salute. And I want to say it right, Airman Masters refuses to that. So immediately, you're getting the racial tension in this town, correct? Definitely. And listen, this is common for Derry. If you remember Chapter 2, there was an attack on the two gay men as well. There's just a lot of hate in this town. And, I think this plays out consistently throughout Derry. And what does he say? He says, I'll get you next time, brother.
Like I'll get you on the like if you don't have a tip for a valet, you said I got you next time. He said it like that. I was like, wait a minute.
And that's his superior officer. Yeah. That's his superior officer. Okay, now I want to ask you, Pete. Now we get these kids. How do you compare them to the Losers Club 27 years afterwards? Because I see them very identical in the sense.
I didn't really compare them. I know that the taller one, he was very, very outspoken, very out there. The other one seemed a little bit more mature, a little bit more reserved. He's talking about spaceships and all this other stuff, but they are concerned with what is going on, which is I'm sure they didn't really get to it, but Maddie is missing. And they were friends of his, so that's for me. That's what my focus was on them. Like, what part did they play in the fact that this was their friend and now he's missing, or they think he's dead, but he's actually missing.
No, listen. The fact that Lily hears him in the tubes really reminded me of Beverly when she was an explosion of the blood as well. But another Easter egg, because Lily said that because her dad had died in an accident, and then Lily went to Juniper Hill, which is the same place that I want to say Henry Bowers was the guy that killed his dad.
Yep.
So Henry Bowers he went to Juniper Hill as well. Again, just really doing a very detailed job of how things are so similar 27 years prior to the It movies. And listen, I really did love the whole bathroom scene. It was super creepy as ever. And of course, it's the music that she's hearing. She's hearing the song from The Music Man, the movie, but it's Maddie's actually singing it. But, it has this effect on these kids, and I absolutely will eat it up every single time. All right. Let me continue this, guys, because I'm trying to get every Easter egg that I found on here. But talking about parallels that I was talking about, Stan and Ted, which are both Jewish, are going through their first bar mitzvahs as well. That's also I found very similar as well. And one of the coolest Easter eggs in this episode, Pete, you're going to really enjoy this. Ted was in the bed reading a detective comic book. And it was the introduction to Clayface. Now, James Gunn did post on that same Sunday about Clayface. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
And pretty much because Pennywise can change forms, that's why he put out the Welcome to Clayface in a sense. And he already knew, of course, that they were going to do that. Quick, another Easter egg is that, Pete, you may get it because I heard that Skarsgård is in talks with James Gunn about playing the Joker.
I treat that as a rumor until it happens, number one. Now, there's a connection there as well. So, the director of It, Chapter 1 and 2, and Welcome to Derry, he was the director of the Flash movie. Now, if you remember, he was at the table, and his father yanked away the comic book, which was a Flash comic book. This was also the cameo of when Eddie in Chapter 2, went into the pharmacy, and you see the guy standing in the aisle behind him. That's the director as well. Andy Muschietti, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's going to be the director of Batman the Brave and the Bold in the DCU, which is that's how you bring in the link to Skarsgård. So who knows? Let's see what happens. I'll believe it when I see it.
You heard it here first on Nerds Podcast. I just want to put that out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell to know the latest news. Okay, so the dad is talking. I want to say his name is Ted. I hope I'm saying that right. But he's talking about how the Jewish people have gone through the biggest horror with the Holocaust. And while he's reading that comic book, the skinned lampshade, it's crazy to think that they were actually doing that. That was also pretty eerie as well. Yeah. Now, the kids have to get together at this point, right? And they're going to the library, which, of course, again, reminds me of the library in Chapter 2 when they were all together as well. And they mentioned, of course, the unidentified young girl in the theater, which, of course, is now Ronnie. Now, I got a question for you, Pete, because they kind of go into a scene where Hanlon gets attacked by these masked guys. What do you think well, again, I know what they want is the specs to the planes.
Yes.
But do you think it's the army testing him to see if he's a snitch, or are these Russian spies truly trying to get this information?
The snitch thing sounds a little bit more likely, to see if he is the testing him. Yeah, I was hoping that one of the masks would come off and he would see who it was. Was it the guy who denied him his respect by not saluting him? Or like you just said, that's a good point. Is it a test to see if he's if he's loyal, if he's gonna go down with the ship, so to speak, and not give up any of the secrets that they have? But he wasn't having any of it. They threatened to shoot him, and he said he still stood his ground. And we don't know who they are because they got away. Because Russo came in and saved the day.
Yeah, he told him, "I saved you again. How's my hair?" Okay, so they go meet up with Ronnie, of course. They make the connection with the song in the sewers, and they go to the movie theater to go put the Music Man back on because Ronnie has to go upstairs, put the music back on. Pete, did this take you back to that scary scene that you talked about in chapter 1 with the projector?
But absolutely. This one was actually... This was, and I thought that was eerie in the garage when they're watching the slides, and the fact that it was Maddie talking to them. I thought that was cool. I put it right on par with that scene too. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, so we get to the movie theater. Maddie's in the movie, and he's blaming them for him kind of being in this movie or dead at this point. I did see the family in the background that was in the car, so it looks like Pennywise is pretty much taking on the persona of anybody he kills for the most part. And I think that family was already dead for the most part in the show. But it is a crazy scene. Kids are getting murdered, split apart. I think there were a total of 5 kids, right? So 5 kids, and only 3 of them got murdered?
The brother and sister, the kid that was reading the comic book, Lily, and then the girl who there was 5
Ronnie.
kids.
Okay, yeah. So I can confirm that I saw 2 killed. Ted, who read the comic book, who got smashed against the window of the projector screen. Phil's sister, as you stated, and because Lily had her hand, and it reminded me of The Boys when A-Train ran through and Huey's girlfriend's arms were there. That's what it reminded me of. But I don't know what happened to Phil. I didn't see Phil die.
They're dead. They're done.
And then, of course, we end scene. Lily finally realizes, again, took maybe a minute to realize what the hell is going on, and we end this with the scream. What a first episode, Pete. I can only imagine the snowball effect that they're going to have with this, and I can't really wait to the next episode, can you?
No, not at all. When they announced that it was coming out 2 days earlier on Halloween, Friday instead of Sunday, it's good. It doesn't conflict with football, so.
Well, listen, I love that you said that. Go Giants. Shout out to Scatterboo. Get better, buddy. Guys, I can't wait to go down this rabbit hole with you guys. It's going to be so much fun. Pete, take us home.
We will return.
The worst episode ever.